and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Okay. Councilmember Irby? Here. Councilmember Page?
Here.
Councilmember Fitch?
Here.
Councilmember Gray?
Present.
Councilmember Clancy?
Here.
Councilmember TRAKAS?
Present.
Councilmember Harder?
Here.
Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
I move for approval of the journal of the meeting of April 9, 2019.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The journal's approved. We have no bid openings tonight, so we'll move to communications.
Mr. Chair, we have no tax compromises, zoning matters, or road and bridge matters this evening, so we'll move to other communications. Under other communications, item number 1, Second District.
Receive, file, and refer to the Department of Transportation and Public Works, the Department of Planning, and the County Councilor. And that will be the order.
Item number 2, Third District.
Receive and file.
So ordered.
Item number 3, Fourth District.
So ordered.
Is there a motion?
Receive and
Sorry,
file.
receive and file. Thank you. Thought I heard that. Number 4.
Item number 4, all districts.
Receive, file, and the County Council will be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation, and that will be the order.
Item number 5, Sixth District.
Receive, file, and the county council will be directed to prepare appropriate legislation, please.
So ordered.
Item number 6.
Receive and file, and that will be the order.
Item number 7, Fourth District.
Receive, file, and the county councilor be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation.
So ordered.
Item number 8.
Receive and file, and that will be the order.
Item number 9, Third District.
Receive, file, and the agreement be approved as recommended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 10, Sixth District.
Receive, file, and the record plat be approved as recommended, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 11.
Receive, file, and the County Council will be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation, and that will be the order.
Item number 12, Fifth District.
Receive, file, and the agreement be approved as recommended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 13, Second District.
Same motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 14.
Receive and file, and that will be the order.
Item number 15, Fifth District.
Receive, file, and the county councilor be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation.
So ordered.
Item number 16, Fourth District.
Receive, file, and the change of address be approved as requested.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 17, Sixth District.
Please hold on the order of business.
So ordered.
Item number 18.
The next 4 items are transfers. Does anybody have any concerns with transfers? Receive, file, and the appropriation transfer be approved as requested. Same motion through item number 21. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 22.
Receive and file, and that will be the order.
Item number 23.
Receive, file, and county council will be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation. Same motion through item number 27, and that will be the order. We will return to item number 23 when we have a bill and talk about a hearing.
Item number 28, Fourth District.
Receive, file, and the county councilor be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation, and a copy of this report to be sent to the city of Florissant.
So ordered.
Item number 29.
Receive and file, and that will be the order. Please read the add-ons.
On the add-on agenda, under other communications, Mr. Chair, item number 1.
Receive and file, and the county council will be directed to prepare the appropriate legislation. Same motion through item number 4, and that will be the order.
Item number 5, Second District.
Receive, file, and the appropriation transfer be approved as recommended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Report of the county executive.
Nothing further this evening.
Report of special committees.
Please hold on the order of business.
So ordered. Public forum.
We have 13 speakers
Thank you.
this evening, Mr. Chair.
Please come to the podium when your name is called. Adjust the microphone so we can capture your remarks and give us your name and address for the record. And please try and keep your remarks to 3 minutes. First speaker.
First speaker this evening is Adolphus Pruitt.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, Adolphus Pruitt, St. Louis NAACP 4811 Delmar. I rise in support of substitute 1 for Board Bill 73, and I just want to paint a picture for you as to why. If we were in a caravan and we were driving basically west of 270, anywhere north, east of 270, anywhere north of Delmar from the river on, you run into a community full of people, majority of them look like me. There would be families who are struggling every day, in most cases, just to make ends meet. There'd be children, in some cases, playing in streets, alleyways, looking for something to do. There'd be some amount of crime, very little job. It'd be a picture of a place with significant economic despair. But imagine, as you're doing that ride, you reach a point and rising out of this community like an oasis is a facility, one that provides a place for those kids I just described to play, to participate in sports, to enjoy life as a child. And on the other side of this facility, you envision a place where parents are congregating with all of their relatives who drove into St. Louis to join them for family reunions, for weddings, for things of that nature. And more importantly, you see a number of people working right in the heart of the community, which they feel is despair. And then you look in the eyes of both those kids and their parents, and what you see this glean is that for a time now, they've been able to feel good about their county government because they feel that the county government has really took out some time and did some investment, some significant investment in their neighborhood that goes directly to the heart of what they think a community should look like. It gives them spirit. It's uplifting, but more than anything, it gives them faith in their government. That's why I rise to support this bill, because this bill will do all of that, and I hope the rest of you will too. Thank you.
Thanks.
Next speaker is Tom Sullivan.
Mr. Chairman, I have some comments on the proposed convention center expansion. First of all, I think it's great that a recreational complex in North County would be included. I would only suggest an educational component be included in the complex, perhaps for tutoring or other educational purposes after school. But I believe all the funds from the hotel motel tax should be spent in St. Louis County after 2021. The taxpayers are providing the hotel industry with a dome at a cost of $720 million. The industry didn't contribute anything. In addition, there have been huge taxpayer subsidies to build almost every hotel. In addition to that, there have been millions of dollars from St. Louis County for various initiatives of the Convention and Visitors Commission, which they refuse to account for. It's now time for St. Louis County, especially struggling neighborhoods in St. Louis County, to be built up. There has been nothing but deception about the benefits from the dome. It started 30 years ago and continues to this day. The dome was sold to the Missouri legislature, the county council, and county voters as a facility that would pay for itself and generate millions of dollars of tax revenue, $41 million a year for the state, $19 million a year for the city, and $7 million a year for St. Louis County. Those were the big selling points, but none were true. I provided council members with articles about the dome going back 30 years, It's deja vu all over again with the expansion. A lengthy article in the June 24th, 1990 Post-Dispatch that took up almost 2 pages listed all the deception. The article quoted then State Senator Tom McCarthy as saying, quote, "Sometimes a little flim-flam is needed to get the job done." I think a lot of flim-flam is being used to get this council to approve $240 million to expand the convention center. In particular, the article noted a 1986 study that said the dome would generate only 61% of the revenue needed to pay for the bonds. Of course, this was ignored. Newer and bigger and completely dishonest numbers were then contrived. It has been debated whether funds from the hotel-motel tax can be used for general revenue purposes. The enabling statute makes it clear they can. But the Convention and Visitors Commission apparently had the county council in 1990 to change the required form of ballot language to language that clearly does not conform to the law, but surplus funds, they want going to them. Doesn't matter what anyone thinks or tries to get you to believe, it's what the law says that counts. Spending for general revenue purposes after dome obligations are met was part of the deal. In addition, there are still many unanswered questions about the proposed expansion itself. In particular, it has to be wondered how a larger facility will bring more business when the current facilities are doing less business. In an article in the Atlantic that I provided to the council, it says, quote, "Hundreds of cities expect their convention center will bring economic benefits and urban regeneration. Most cities will be left with underused facilities and decades of debt." That is exactly what could happen with an expanded downtown convention center. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Tashonda Troop.
Good evening again. I don't really have a speech prepared. I just have a lot of questions for you, Mr. Stenger. I know you're over the St. Louis County Jail, and you are their boss. So I'm just trying to figure out, besides the investigation, I'm tired of hearing it's under investigation. Some of these questions can be answered without the investigation, but I'm just dying to know, what are you doing? I mean, what are you doing about your employees? Julia Childress is your director, and just like the council and everybody else have seen her response and the way that she acts, do you want a director under you that acts like that has no common decency for another person's feelings, a mother, a grieving mother? She has no sympathy, no empathy, or is that the type of person that you want to have in that position? I mean, I feel like you need to have an adequate person in that position. So I want to know, what are you doing and what are your follow-up behind that? Because Julia Childress is not the person for that job. And I know that you can see that. And you have been quiet and mute to every discussion that I've been to here. You've answered very little questions. You haven't had any answers. So I want to know, what are you doing? I mean, she's your employee. So therefore, there's something that I know that you could be doing. And I asked you before in the last session, when you went into that jail and you retrieved those tapes, when that inmate was being abused, what did you do following that? What happened to that guard that abused that inmate? Did he just get fired? What kind of charges were brought against him? Because that's abuse. And I know you know of that, and I know you are aware of that. So I'm trying to figure out, what do you plan on doing about your workers? Those guards, Julia Childress, they fall up under you. So what do you plan on doing? What are you doing as far as training for your guards? Why do they feel like it's okay? The guard that abused that inmate, he felt like it was okay for him to do that in front of another guard, and thinking that they had this code of silence, and he wouldn't tell. But the other guard told. And then only reason why I guess it was brought to the attention is because John Shy died. So it was brought to the attention. So what are you doing? You have these claims of abuse and you know of these things. So what are you doing? What did you do when that inmate leg was twisted? He had gunshot wounds from his hip to his ankle. And that correctional officer twisted his leg. Now, I've never been shot, so I don't know how that feels, but I know he had to be in tremendous pain. So when your guards abused this man, what did you do? What do you plan on doing as far as your staff? Because they are a reflection of you. And right now, you already have a lot on your plate. And they're making you look worse. because those are your workers. So what are you going to do to make them not make you look so bad? Because you don't need that light on you right now. So the pressure is on you now because those are your workers. So I want to know, what do you plan to do? What are your plans? What are you going to do about the abuse? How do you plan to stop it? What training are you going to implement? What are you going to do?
Tashana, your time has expired,
Okay,
but I'm sure we'll continue to talk about this subject.
okay.
Thank you for coming.
Next speaker is Ed Golterman.
He's not being answered.
Yeah. Sorry.
Members of the council and Executive Stenger, I feel in a sense I'm representing my grandfather here, who was the founding partner of our first convention center, the Coliseum, and did great work to bring people to St. Louis. He was the father of the Muni in 1917, and he and Henry Kiel partnered to give us the unsurpassed Kiel Opera House and Auditorium. So just from heritage alone, I hope you will listen to these words. They might come from him. A city's success, our failure in convention and tourism business is based on the combination of three things: the facility, the location, and the attractions. Those who plan conventions and group travel, they can give various weight to those three from time to time. It's not a constant. To some, it might be the facility, to some, the location. But all, I think, agree they have to have the attractions for once they come out of their formal meetings. For most of the last century, we were on top because of the three places in our wonderful Forest Park and our vibrant downtown. For most of the last century, we were on top. We knew that real tourism demanded overnight stays. That was the measure of tourism, not drive in and drive out. Then something happened, the declaration that we want nothing to compete with Grand Center. We want nothing to compete with Grand Center, and things changed. The deck was shuffled downtown, in our downtown. I'm going to ask you to redial the cards, redial the deck. You have the location, you have the convention center, now attend to the attractions. Require those who control St. Louis to give your people and visitors 50 nights of Muni this year. Just make the phone call, 50 instead of 37. Require those who control St. Louis to give us all 15 shows and concerts every month in Kiel Opera House. And then next year, maybe more for each, because those are the best that we've ever had, and it's the best combination we've ever had. And I think it will indeed help fill the facilities and the hotels, motels, and restaurants, which is the year-round obligation of people who promote St. Louis. Now again, you offer the best, and everything else we have. Denver Center for Performing Arts did such a great job for Denver that they had to build a new convention center. That's what those places do. Kiel and Muni are your insurance policies to hedge against whatever comes. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Next speaker is Angie Zorich.
Thank you for letting me speak again. I think I'm going to direct mostly to you, Mr. Stenger. We had a meeting earlier. I think that most of the council members have reached out to the families of the 3 deceased, or at least the 2 that I know of, that died in the county jail. I would ask you the same thing. Julia Childry you're her employer. Everybody below her, I mean, you're at the top. You're in control. You're the person that I think they should have to answer to. I mean, we have yet to see what the policies are at the jail. And I think it'll be really sad if we find out that everybody in there did follow policy and procedure, because people are dead. We've had multiple people reach out to us that have been there, whose family members are there right now, people who witnessed what happened to Lamar, people who witnessed what happened to Johnny. It's not good. It's horrific. Okay, so it's not just that people are dying. Even if they're not dead, they're being treated inhumanely. And you're the boss. I know that Julia Childry, the county counselor's office, has asked them not to speak to us directly, and you guys are worried about civil suits, which there's plenty of that going around. And we need to change. We need to change the policies and procedures, not just there, but there's a lot of problems in this county government. So I'm just asking you to step up. And I don't know, I just keep coming back to this. There's no oversight, no civilian oversight. And I think that would be really helpful because we are the people that it affect the most. So if you guys can help us with that in any way, I think that would be really helpful and important. Thank you.
Thanks.
Next speaker is Natasha True.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I'm Natasha Troop, Lamar Catching's aunt. My questions are for Mr. Stenger because I spoke with you all earlier. And I understand that you're an attorney. Is that so? Because I see that you don't answer, you don't speak much. So are you an attorney?
I am an attorney, and the reason why we don't talk from the dais as much is that this is a public
I
forum,
understand.
so it's your opportunity to speak. That's all.
So my question is, everyone before me has asked you, what are you going to do? There's a law that has been violated, the 8th Amendment. I'm pretty sure since you're a lawyer, you understand what that is. And the law states that, just one moment. The law states that if you deny medical attention to an inmate, it's inhumane. If you abuse an inmate while in custody, it's inhumane. So when you violate that right, you now commit a felony. So your staff has committed multitudes of felonies. As a lawyer, now it's your duty, because you took that oath, to stand up, and now they need to be charged with all of these 8th Amendments, what was his name? Grimes versus the United States. I'm pretty sure you can look it up. And you can see the Supreme Court also ruled in his case where they medically denied. Lamar Catchings was denied medical care. Deliberate, not just by mistake, deliberate. A cancer patient goes through pain, beyond pain. So he cried out. Shy cried out, nobody assisted. So what we're looking for the family now is charges, felony charges. We would like your people on the other side of the gate, not manning the gate, somebody else to man the gate for him. When will you be calling the federal government in to shut down your facility? Obviously, you can't keep the funds going in the right directions to help these people. The medical is insufficient. You're supposed to have 60 people on staff, but you don't. Your staff is not fully like it's supposed to be. So what are you doing with the money? That's the question. And where is it going? But right now, I want charges. And I expect you, as a person that we put in your seat, to do it. And if you don't, then we, the people, will stand together to get you out that seat. I know you smirking. I know.
No, there's no smirk at all.
No, that was
I'm
a
just
smirk.
listening.
It was a smirk. That's a smirk.
It actually was.
But I'm not going to argue with you
I understand.
one way or the other. But I need you to understand. Now, your council people, everybody up here understands but you. My sister hasn't heard from you. She hasn't heard from your staff. My sister lost her child. You understand, under your care. So now something's going to have to be done. I understand this meeting is about money, but now it's about death. So y'all have a good day. Just know we're here and we're going to constantly be at you.
Next speaker is Reverend Phil Duval.
Good afternoon, Reverend Phil Duval. I'm representing the Missionary Baptist State Convention of Missouri. I want to thank the council members again for the hearing. Understandably, scheduling didn't allow you to come. Mr. Stenger, the focus is on you now. You know, taxation without representation breeds a revolution. And that's the foundation of the history of this country. That we were being taxed and there was a revolution. My comments to you and Mr. Stenger, there could have been a conversation. This wouldn't have been headed to civil court had you listened to the mom. But you couldn't even have a conversation. You instructed. Understandably, I've been coached by my good friend Adolphus Pruitt. Oh, it's going to the courtroom, Duval, leave it alone. Well, in this courtroom, we only have 3 minutes to speak, and it's free. How much money has this county spent defending its employees? I already know of 2 incidents for St. Louis County Police that you had to surrender and pay. How much money under your administration have you paid out to protect the county? We're paying it. With our tax dollars, it's a recycled hit. I mentioned earlier with this body, well, I just want to repeat it and I'll sit down. In corporate America and anywhere else in an institution, it's always going to come back to who's heading it. It appears you might have been asleep at the wheel. Found out today that there's an advisory board for that Justice Center. And they have all expired and there's 2 vacancies. No wonder it's only 4 people overseeing something. We're asking her to be fired. We're asking her to be administratively removed now. And if nothing else, Mr. Stenger, reach out to this family, have a conversation that doesn't go in the courtroom, show some heart, show some compassion, and quit using the legal. I know that's what he gets paid for, and we pay him well. Quit hiding behind all of this legal stuff, because it's going to take its course anyway. And what we all should be reminded of, if people had been doing their job, we wouldn't be here. And if people need to be held accountable for doing their job, then you ought not be here either. It's a quick fix. With all of the other stuff, you got to defend this county under this administration. Show some compassion and fix this on the powers that you have now.
Next speaker is ERNIE Dinoff.
Thank you very much, members of the County Council. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dinoff. I'm a civic and public advocate. My address is P.O. Box 1535, O'Fallon, Missouri 63366. My cell phone number is 314-440-9000. There's a couple new members on the council since I've addressed you, since I believe I was here November or December. My story is very compassionate about the Justice Services and Ms. Childress not responding to my plea for internal investigations. I asked Mr. Stenger for him and his staff to investigate. I asked you as county council members to investigate my claims. I came here council meeting after council meeting, it's on tape, about what was done to me, a person who's never been given a ticket, never been in the correction facility, never been arrested in my entire life, but because of Judge Michael D. Burton, I was shackled and handcuffed inside an ambulance because I had a heart attack in the courtroom. It was at Missouri Baptist Hospital while your corrections people kept my family away and kept them away from Bay for making crucial medical decisions that need to be made. You spent over $8,000 in 2 guards at this facility. I've never stolen anything in my life, never even had a traffic ticket. You know, it was all over $853 transcript fee from the Eastern District Court of Appeals. I was jailed and caused to have a heart attack. Violation of my 8th Amendment of the United States Constitution and the Constitution of the State of Missouri, cruel and unusual punishment. Does anyone on this dais actually care? I see in the media that 3 families lost their loved ones. Why don't you care and stand up for these people? Why don't you do an immediate internal affairs investigation? I've asked Ms. Childress and I can't get a response. Is this because of political tyranny? Is this because I've run for political office? Is this a payback from the union? I expect more from you as elected officials. I've asked for an internal affairs investigation of the conditions and the treatment in the jail and the non-medical that was given to me. And then your corrections facilities people in Missouri Baptist took pictures of me and posted them on their Facebook. That's unbelievable. This case number is cause number 1311-CC00154-01. Now, there was no information, no documents, and I'm being asked to go to court again this Friday in Judge Michael Burton's court. Friday, April 19th at 1:30 p.m., Division 16. And we're going to go through another round. For what? Reese Remington of the County Ambulance District, the union representative, stated to me on April 2nd, "We have Judge Burton in our union pocket. We're going to get you jailed again. We're going to kill you and rid you in jail." When no one is looking. When is this county council going to stand up? When am I going to get help from you as elected officials? What happened to me is all on public record. I don't know who to go to anymore. I don't know if I'm supposed to go to the FBI, the Highway Patrol. Obviously, our county police don't care because we wouldn't be having these atrocities and these senseless deaths and unruliness in our county corrections facility. How does somebody like me, who has led an exemplary life, given civic service, never been ticketed, never done anything wrong, and you shackle and handcuff me to a bed at Missouri Baptist Hospital? I plead for you to help me to stop deterring Michael D. Burton in court this Friday. Thank you.
Next speaker is Shirley Rucker.
Hello, I want to let you know my name is Shirley Rucker, and I bought a condo in Pine Meadows 12 years ago. It's in condemned shape. We tenants in there is being homeless. The place looks like it is terrible. It's inhuman the way we live. I paid my apartment is bought in over $25,000 in the last 12 years. We can't sell. Investors in there buying the property for absolutely nothing. And I retired 12 years ago when I bought it. We can't sell the property. I've been to every politician that would help me. And I think it's terrible. People spend all this money and end up homeless and nobody helps you and tell you you have to get a loan. And I'm a retired senior citizen. Pine Meadows have brought in a lot of money and an audit need to be done on it. 4 management companies. We know nothing about the association. And nothing but foreclosures. We have to leave on foreclosures. They've been built 34 years ago. And it's horrible what didn't happen to Pine Meadows and people don't have a home. And none of our politicians will help us. And I think the audit need to be done on Pine Meadows. And I'm a senior citizen. I shouldn't leave with my credit messed up though, because I'm at the end of my life. I'm a senior citizen when I bought it. And it's nothing but foreclosures. It's in black and white, everything going on in Pine Meadows. And our politicians won't help. I've been to a lot of politicians. They tell you have to have a lawyer. I live on a fixed income. I'm barely making. And I think the law is very wrong in treating people like this, and somebody need to be held accountable for Pine Meadows. Rats is coming in people's house, rodents, broke down fences, parking lots. It's not even human. Mold in the buildings outside, fences tore down, parking lots tore down, and nobody will help you. I've been to a lot of politicians, and I don't think it's fair. You buy a home and you end up homeless without a home and your credit messed up for 10 years. And something needs to be done. And a full investigation needs to be done on Pine Nettles, and I got everything in black and white with Pine Nettles, everything for 12 years. Thank you.
Excuse me, where is, I don't know where Pine Meadows is. Where is Pine Meadows? Where is that located?
The Bell Fountain.
Bell Fountain?
Yes,
Okay.
I've been to you.
All right, to me? Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Bell Fountain.
Okay.
Next speaker is Ronnie Abston.
Good evening, County Council. I haven't been here this year to talk about tenants. I've been waiting to see if any tenant legislation was going to be written to address some of our concerns. So tonight I brought a lady here that I just got a hold of, or got a hold of me, I should say, however you want to tell the story, about a condominium that she purchased. And so I went there, and it was absolutely atrocious. And so when I see a 70, I believe she's 74-year-old woman fighting for her life, trying to just survive, it just appalls me. I'm young, I got the vigor to fight. But when I see a person that could be my grandmother still fighting, that bothers me to my core. And so my question is, what does it take for it to be bothered to your core? Because every time I come in here, we got people complaining about serious things that you can actually follow procedure and vet to see if they're telling the truth. And so disparity is talked about all the time. What disparity really boils down to is ignoring the problem. And so when you ignore something that you know is apparent, how do these people, how does anyone receive any relief? How do you come here every day and sit here, every Tuesday, knowing you're going to have people coming up here telling you tragedy after tragedy after tragedy, and nothing is ever followed up? No procedures are ever done, and these people are still in here in pain. And so I ask you, we know that the normal everyday things aren't working. Is anybody inspired to do something brand new? I mean, is anybody inspired to actually live out your official duty to assist the citizens that elect you? What is your duty as an official, as a representative to these people, if they have to keep coming and begging every week after week with the same problem with no resolution? Does that not sicken you? Sicken you personally? Or are you just immune to it? Like these are just words, these are just people, peace out, see you next Tuesday. Meanwhile, these people still got to go back and deal with the things that they're dealing with. Richard Rothstein wrote a book called The Color Law. He went through very fluently about redlining, about the same situations this woman's talking about now. So it's not like this hasn't been talked about, discussed, about what these people are going through on many national levels. And he gets applauded for the book, but I never see any solutions from the book. And so it blows my mind that this author, Richard's cool, great man, but he gets the accolades off the backs of these people that never get any assistance that he talks about.
That's removed.
Thank you.
And so the question remains, as council members, you do have the opportunity to assist these people. Take a new approach. Take one of these cases that you actually believe is telling the truth and vet it and go all the way out with it. You get their complaint, you get the people they're complaining about, and you can write a new procedure. It's very simple. So I offer that to you tonight as a solution, whatever it is, criminal, civil, juvenile, it don't matter. It can all be done the exact same way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Paul Hartman.
I would ask that you
make sure you contact us. I know you came, I think about something, about the hotel situation. But of course, that's totally out of my area. But when things come closer to our areas, let us know, you know, personally, because when you come here to talk, we can't interact. So,
I just want to say, if I do talk about Fenton, just know that Fenton could be in any of your districts.
It is in all of our districts.
It is in all of your
The
districts.
the issues with condos is it's a bad situation with people buying those condos and mismanaging them. And that is a bad issue, but it's also, you have to realize that if they're in different cities, it's hard to do something at our level because they're in different cities, you know, Bellefontaine or Florissant or First. So, but yeah, just make sure we talk about it at another day so we can have a one-on-one conversation.
Yes, and I'll just interject and I will sit down. The locations, I just want to say, are all irrelevant. And you understand that this is a pattern. And so whether it happens in Bellefontaine or it happens in Fenton, the way of just understanding that procedure can help your people in your district. So that's all I want to put out there, that it shouldn't matter the location if you know that this is a consistent problem, that you can do something.
Hey, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Ms. Rowney, if you wouldn't mind
Chair,
leaving your...
If the council members are going to continue their next speaker, could we
Why
ask
don't
her
you
to
come back to the
microphone?
microphone so we can capture your answers? Go ahead.
If you wouldn't mind leaving your contact information, I would love to talk to you about some ideas I have, particularly around the issue of affordable housing. So my assistant's over there on the side and can get your information and we can follow up.
Well, thank you, Ms. Clancy. I appreciate that.
But my point being, we can't regulate other cities. That's why I said that. So it has to be something that comes down from another government entity. But we can address, like she said, housing issues because that's countywide. But we can't make someone, Bellefontaine, do certain things. But we can address it. And I would like to address that issue as well. But make sure we talk.
And we can coordinate something.
Oh, don't forget to see her assistant. Thank you.
Next speaker is Paul Hartman.
Hi. Johnny Shy was my best friend in high school, and just want to talk a little bit about that. Smoking cigarettes was one of our favorite pastimes. Johnny developed a heroin addiction in his late teens, early 20s, and this was a barrier on our friendship for a long time. But despite this barrier, recently I wanted to enjoy our favorite pastime one more time with him and smoke one last pack of cigarettes before I quit. But then Johnny was arrested for violating his probation for drug possession. Now that alone is an injustice worth fighting against, but beyond that, the second time this happened, he died in the Clayton jail. I didn't see him between those two jail sentences because he was very busy trying to get his life together. So it looks like I'll be smoking that one last pack in front of my friend's grave. But we're here to talk about policies and procedures though, and everyone knows that heroin is a deadly drug, and knowing that he died in a pool of his own blood, which is not a symptom of heroin overdose or withdrawal, I'm not sure why they suggested that in the original reports. But the question is, what is it a symptom of? It's a potential symptom of being beaten to death or perhaps fed unchecked food. It doesn't take a conspiracy theorist to suspect it was the guard who abused the man who complained of Johnny's neglect. That's a possibility that needs to be investigated. Firing him sounds to me like a slap on the wrist, an easy way out. On the other hand, neglect was more than a possibility. The neglect of Johnny and Lamar happened. And the responsible individuals need to be subject to the same legal procedures as a school cafeteria worker or a mom putting her teenager in timeout.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Kitty Radcliffe.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, county executive, my name is Kitty Radcliffe, the president of Explore St. Louis. I speak on behalf of the hospitality industry, pretty large team of 88,000 people in our region. A few of them are here with me tonight. I'd like to ask them to rise behind me. Members of our team include members of our staff at Explore St. Louis and our hotels and our partners and our board. I'm proud to stand here before you and represent them. For many weeks and almost even months now, you've heard us make a case for the need to make improvements to the America Center Convention Complex. This is our community's convention center. It's not a city project, it's not a county project. It's a regional project because it's a regional asset. One that is supporting businesses throughout our region, one that is supporting our residents with jobs and employment, one that is essential for the economy of our community, because there's no other asset like it in our community, which brings in $265 million in new money to our community, supports our businesses, and puts our people to work. This is not money that's revolving around the community that's already here. We need you, we need your support in order to ensure that we can effectively use this tool to compete against other cities. Our community deserves this. This building does not compete against other buildings in our region. This building competes against other buildings in other major metropolitan areas. And those cities and those buildings are going after the same business that we're going after. You've heard a $240 million figure thrown at you as a negative. That's over 40 years. What this is about is a $6 million annual investment of not St. Louis taxpayer money, but taxes paid by visitors to our community who are staying in hotels in our city and in our county, and using that money to pair with similar money from the city to improve the tourism infrastructure that keeps them coming to our community and bringing that money with them. That's $6 million combined with the city and state money generates $265 million annually. Not $240 million over 40 years, $265 million annually. That's an investment that any smart business person would make. This is not about a $6 million construction project. This is about investing $6 million annually to see it return 10 times over in the form of business development and employment. And that's what creates other taxes, sales taxes, property taxes, employment taxes, earnings taxes. Those taxes, which are used to invest in the county in many other ways and make the improvements that the county needs to have. But without that new money coming in, those other taxes aren't generated, those people aren't put to work, those businesses don't stay in business. Mr. Sullivan should actually be a champion for this project, as should all of you. I don't mean to offend anyone when I say this, because Peoria is a very nice place. But I don't think St. Louis wants to be Peoria. And if we don't make the improvements in our tourism infrastructure with the tourism tax dollars generated for that purpose and approved by the voters, well, I'm afraid that's a risk that we're going to face. Our community deserves better. We, our hospitality industry, are at the forefront of all the problems in our region every single day. That's why we voice support for Ms. Irby's North County project. Because there are problems in this county that the tourism industry can fix. And we think we can work together with all of you to create a complex that does both tourism and recreation. And we look forward to trying to make that happen. I know my time is way past. We didn't get this project in front of you in time, and I appreciate the extra time you're giving me here. I'm almost done. It took us a long time to put this project in front of you, but it's in front of you now. The people in our region, the 88,000 people who work in the hospitality industry, the many businesses, and the people who don't even know that tourism is affecting them because they don't understand that the money that the people in the tourism industry are using to pay for groceries and dry cleaning and paying their bills is coming from tourists. Those people, the tens of thousands of hospitality workers and the hundreds of businesses, are expecting you to move this project forward. Oh, I hope that you will.
Right, but I have a question. I have a question, Mr. Eccles. How many people behind you are employees of Explore St. Louis? Just raise your hand.
Yeah.
Good, because I've always wanted to see what the better part of $3.2 million a year looks like. Thank you.
Well, Mr. TRAKAS, I would like to tell you that our budget is actually a $38 million budget. So what percentage of that budget do you expect salaries to be?
All I know is that by your own numbers, madam, $3.2 million a year, of which you get arguably upwards of $600,000. So anyway, that's all I have.
Final speaker this evening is Linda Baker.
Good evening. I'm the chair of the County Commission on Disability, and I'm here to support the supplementary funding for a full-time ADA coordinator for the county. We have been working on this since 2016, so I appreciate your support and passage of this bill. Thank you.
No more speakers, Mr. Chair.
This concludes the public forum, please. Oh, yes.
Yes, we want to ask the county executive, Councilwoman Irby and I, if you would have any comment regarding the deaths at the jails and have your staff had any discussion or any plans, future plans, or any way you want to respond to.
Sure, yeah, and I think we addressed this at the last council meeting. But there are both internal and external investigations going on, and the external investigations involve law enforcement. During the pendency of those investigations, in accordance with advice from legal counsel, there's really just not a whole lot that we can talk about. I think you experienced that earlier today with the director. While those matters are pending, they have to reach their conclusion so we can get down to the truth. And we don't want to do anything in the meantime that would jeopardize those investigations. So, as far as release of information, et cetera, right now, those investigations need to conclude. And I can tell you that everyone working on those investigations is working diligently so that we can reach a quick but thorough conclusion of these matters. And I can tell you that there's no loss of empathy or compassion. And truly, I know that all of those involved are very concerned for the families involved, for the loved ones involved, and for the friends involved. And we really, I think everyone, and I obviously can't speak for everyone, but I can tell you that my administration and the departments involved are very concerned, and we want to get down to the bottom of it and want to have the truth presented.
So it appears that you have had discussions with Julia Childry and with the counselor's office about this matter.
You mean the county counselor's office?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Counselor's office?
Yes.
So they've spoken with you about it?
In limited fashion, and only to the extent that they've needed our cooperation in moving matters forward. But, it's an external investigation with respect to law enforcement. So the information that law enforcement is going to provide anyone in the county is limited because they're conducting an investigation and don't want the details of the investigation and the findings of the investigation and the success of the investigation being jeopardized by an information flow that would do that. And I think we can all imagine how that might happen. I think that's the same in every investigation that's conducted, any criminal investigation. With respect to the internal investigations, the same is true. And we've been instructed by legal counsel, and I think it's wise legal advice, but during the pendency of the investigation and before any conclusions are reached, you know, the information is limited because it's an ongoing investigation. And this isn't the first one, you know, in St. Louis County's history. We've had many, and it's been the same procedure and policy followed in every one of those investigations. And the same goes for, you know, outside law enforcement investigations. And I can't tell you, as I said here, how those investigations will conclude, whether they are external or internal. And I can tell you, I want to get down to the bottom of the truth. And, you know, if individuals have done wrong, if they've done things that were against procedures, if they've acted with negligence, if they've acted outside of standards of good conduct, I certainly want to see them treated appropriately under all those circumstances.
Has there been any report given to the family at all?
I would have to ask Peter to answer that question. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know that, but I know that, you know, everything that I've just said is, you know, said from the heart. You know, we want to get down to the bottom of this, and we want to see justice done, whatever that is.
Peter,
Yes.
is there some kind of report that the family can get? I mean, certainly they have to be given some information.
Well, I can't say, and I don't know, I can't speak to them. They have an attorney who represents the mother, and I'm not permitted to speak.
Well, I mean, are you telling me that the family has to get an attorney?
No, I'm not saying they have to
To
get
get
an
a report
attorney.
after somebody, after that
I
relative?
said I
has been
can't
killed?
speak to anybody who's represented.
But I'm just saying, after something like this happens, shouldn't it be customary that the family gets some kind of a report regarding what happened?
I can't talk to custom. You know, I think that if there is communication with the family, there should be some communication. I can't tell you the scope of the communication or the foundation of information that should be delivered. That's.
Well, she had to get an
That's just
attorney.
wrong.
To my understanding, she had to get an attorney because she asked for the information as a citizen and she didn't get it.
Well,
but then she had to, which is, what is this, the end of almost the middle of April. So it's been over a month and she hadn't gotten anything. And then she had to get an attorney. So I know you say that you cannot address her at this point, but what happened before that? That she didn't get a report?
I don't know.
Have you received a written report?
No, I've not received a report. And Hazel, this is what I would say. You know, there are multiple events that are involved here. There are multiple witnesses that are involved. All those witnesses have to be interviewed. You know, it takes time. And I'm not, believe me, if I, you know, I have children, you have children, I can completely understand your loss. If I lost one of my children, I would be devastated. I can only imagine how devastated you are with your family. I understand that. I think everyone understands that. And truthfully, we want to see what happened here. We want to get down to the bottom of it. And in order to do that, these types of things take time, and we want to have it thorough.
How much time, though? How much time do you wait for a report? Because the longer you wait for a report, the more likely there is that there's misinformation or
I don't know.
something?
I can't say that I agree with you there, Hazel. I think that I think that the reason for the time that's being spent is so these matters can be investigated truly thoroughly. And you have to understand there's an outside agency that's involved. It's a police department. And, you know, I know they're not taking it lightly. They're at all. I mean,
But
they're
Steve, don't you
being very
understand
diligent.
with a, if your son,
Oh,
your
I do.
child, my
I
child,
do.
you want something.
I know. And
Give them something.
I understand that. But the issue is that with an ongoing investigation and with one of the magnitude and seriousness of this one, you really can't jeopardize that. You just have to, you know, and I understand it. You know, asking someone for patience in the situation that you're in it's extraordinarily difficult. And I'm not suggesting flippantly that, oh, please be patient with us. That's not the case. There is an outside agency, though, that is investigating this matter. It's a law enforcement agency that's investigating this matter. They're doing a thorough investigation. As I said, many witnesses are being interviewed, circumstances are being looked at very closely. All types of things are being,
spoken to us.
all types of things are being considered. So, you know, I don't know what the limitations of what I can do with the matter under possible litigation. I don't know. That's something that I'd have to consult with legal counsel about. Yeah, and ma'am, I'm telling you, I have very limited information, just as anyone does under the circumstances outside of the parties that are investigating it. But I truly understand where you're coming from. I understand the desire to want to know what is going on. I understand that very much.
Have any of the families been, because Lamar was the latest one, right? So have any of the families received any reports?
And once again, I don't know, and I don't think that the investigation for any of these matters has concluded yet. I think they're all ongoing. And, you know, it's obviously, as we discussed, and as you know, and as we all understand and feel, these are very serious matters. And, you know, obviously they involve the loss of loved ones, and they're being taken very seriously. And with that being the case, the last thing you want to do is jeopardize the ability to receive the truth, to obtain the truth, and to know the truth. I mean, I think ultimately that's what everyone wants. Pardon me?
He's calling the shots, it's defend the truth.
No, it's really not. It actually.
We're just asking you to.
Yeah.
They just want you to.
Yeah, I understand that, but it actually isn't. It really is, so that we can get down to the bottom of this and understand what happened. And we want to know what happened in your cases, but we also want to know what happened so we can prevent these matters in the future if that's necessary.
But they want you to hear what they want, what they feel, how they feel.
I understand
and the
that
things
very
they want,
much,
not so
and
much.
I do.
Like, we had a hearing earlier, and if someone just would have been here to hear them,
Mr. Crane was.
they're not asking you to compromise the investigation in no form or fashion. But when someone is hurting like this, they want you to at least listen, and that's what they're asking for.
Yeah, and we are
today.
listening, and I'm listening,
But you haven't heard the extent because this is a short time period. But I'm not going to go.
Yeah, and I understand that, very much so, believe me. But once again, we want to get down to the truth of the matter. We want to understand what happened, and the best way to do that is to let the investigations conclude. And we don't want to. Well,
That's right.
well, we understand. Well, and I agree 100% completely with transparency. But the issue here is there's an ongoing investigation, and in the name of transparency, you want to know what happened. And in order to do that, we have to reach the conclusion.
People are reaching out to us and telling us what happened, not you.
Well,
Some of these people are trying to help us, but definitely not him.
and there are individuals who are interviewing.
Julian Childry is hiding behind Peter Crane and his team of lawyers who are just worried about the civil side of it. I am sorry, but I don't trust them to account.
And I understand how
to
you may.
investigate
I
this.
understand how you may feel that
I
way.
really don't trust them to investigate this.
Yeah.
But I
I'm
asked you a
sorry.
question, wait a minute, I asked you a question. You said that these 3 deaths are still under investigation. I asked you, what did you do about the abuse, when your Lord abused the inmate? I asked you, what did you do about that? What happened with that?
And ma'am, these are all pending matters that really can't be discussed right now. They have to reach conclusion. I can tell you,
Witnessed it.
and I understand what believe me, I understand how you feel. But it truly takes, as long as it takes to get to the truth and the investigation to conclude.
You couldn't imagine how I feel. I go to sleep every night longing for my child.
And I'm very sorry for
I wake up
that.
every day thinking about my child. My child could have been here had procedures been followed. So I don't have my child. I can't hold him. I was not there for him when he was going through his pain. So you can never imagine how I feel. How I feel, you still have your children, correct? Have you lost a child?
No, I haven't.
Have you lost a child inhumanely? Have you had to think about your child dying inhumanely? Have you had to do that? You haven't had to do that, so you do not know how I feel. It's been, my child died March 1st. It's getting ready to be May. I still have no answer. And had your administration talked to me, then it wouldn't be a civil suit. And then the county wouldn't be coming out of this money for attorney fees and other things because you all wouldn't talk to me. All you had to do was have a conversation with me. I am a humble individual. Money means nothing to me. But I had to get a lawyer for you to talk to me. And you still won't talk.
Councilwoman Clancy, you had a question?
Well, I just, this conversation's happening in a public forum tonight because it should have happened before. And, everything that you shared with us tonight, Mr. Singer, I don't understand why that couldn't have been shared with the families prior to this. That's not right.
Well, we shared it last week, Lisa. I mean, we actually shared it last week as well.
This
Same
first
information.
incident happened in January, I believe.
But there was no information that's really been shared here this evening. There have been, there really has been no new information that's been presented,
Well,
so.
as I said this afternoon,
It's an ongoing investigation, I think we all understand that.
I have a lot of respect for the strength that you all are exhibiting as you're grieving and speaking out on this manner, and I thank you. And I'm sorry this has happened to you.
I appreciate all of it. You get to give her anything that they run about that you gave her tonight. My sister, you lost their best friend, and you sit there with the runaround there. You shouldn't even acknowledge that he ran around something like what you call it on the people. Everybody else addressed her and has expressed her sympathy for her loss, but you in your sympathy.
Actually, I think I did express my sympathy tonight, and I expressed it last week as well. Because the sympathy is real, but there's an ongoing investigation, and I wish we could comment on more, I really do. But we just can't. We can't at this time.
Any other council members? Okay, this concludes our public forum. Please proceed with introduction of bills.
Bill number 99, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance appropriating $51,000 from the unappropriated balance of the General Revenue Fund for payment of fees relating to mobile device management for 2019. Bill number 100, introduced by Councilmember Clancy, an ordinance providing for the vacation of a section of unimproved right-of-way of 3rd Avenue, petitioner Edward B. Clark and Joyce M. Clark. Bill number 101, introduced by Councilmember Tracus, an ordinance amending ordinance number 13,344 is amended by repealing and reenacting Section 1 and Section 3 pertaining to PC 89-87 Cudis Funeral Home. Mr. Chair, that is all the bills.
Perfection.
Bill number 270, introduced by Councilmember Wassinger for Councilmember Tracus.
Please hold on the order of business.
270 will be held.
Bill number 17, introduced by Councilmember Fitch.
Please hold on the order of business.
17 will be held.
Bill number 20, introduced by Councilmember Harder.
Please hold.
20 will be held.
Bill number 21, introduced by Councilmember Harder.
Please hold.
21 will be held.
Bill number 35, introduced by Councilmember Page. Mr. Chair, we have a substitute bill.
Please read the substitute.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 35, introduced by Councilmember Page, an ordinance appropriating and setting apart the amount of $328,479 from the unappropriated balances of various funds for support of projects not completed in 2018.
Has everyone had a chance to review the substitute bill? Okay, I move for adoption of substitute bill number 1 for bill number 35.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I move for perfection, substitute bill number 1 for bill number 35.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 35, substitute bill number 1 for bill number 35 is perfected.
Bill number 76, introduced by Councilmember Tracus.
Please hold on the order of business.
76 will be held.
Bill number 79, introduced by Councilmember Tracus.
Move to perfect bill number 79.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 79 is perfected.
Bill number 82, introduced by Councilmember Tracus.
Please hold on the order of business.
Bill number 82 will be held.
Bill number 83, introduced by Council Members Tracus and Harder. Mr. Chair, we have a substitute bill.
Please read the substitute.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 83, introduced by Council Members Tracus and Harder. An ordinance amending Chapter 302, Title 3, St. Louis County Revised Ordinances 1974's amended budget by repealing and reenacting Section 304.400 relating to the funds distributed to St. Louis County pursuant to Proposition P, a countywide half-cent sales tax related to police and public safety adopted by the voters of St. Louis County on April 4th, 2017.
I'd like to hold substitute 1 for 83.
Substitute bill number 1 for bill number 83 will be held.
Mr. Chair, we can't hold it unless it's adopted. Otherwise, you would have to hold the underlying bill.
Well, are you going to have another substitute?
Mr. Chair, I wasn't going to go there, but I will now. I had a very fruitful meeting this week with the representative of the police union. Have plans to, myself and Mr. Harder, meet with Chief Belmar this week, so there probably will be another substitute bill that will incorporate the fruit of those discussions next week. This bill doesn't do that yet. Mr. Harder and I have been hard at work trying to get consensus, and we're close. So there will be another substitute, no doubt. So if it makes sense not to adopt this tonight, I understand. I don't want to speak for Mr. Harder, but there undoubtedly will be another bill next week that will hopefully represent consensus between all the stakeholders.
Would you like to hold the underlying bill?
Yes, please hold.
Okay, motion is to hold the underlying bill number 83, and bill number 83 will be held.
Bill number 84, introduced by Councilmember Fitch. Mr. Chair, we have a substitute bill.
Please read the substitute.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 84, introduced by Councilmember Fitch, an ordinance appropriating the amount of $1,515,086 of Proposition P funds from the unappropriated balance of the general fund for support of the costs of police recruits to attend the county and municipal police academy and vehicle replacement for the St. Louis County Police Department.
I move for adoption of substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 84.
Second.
Has everyone had a chance to read the substitute?
No, I haven't. My apologies, but I wasn't aware that there would be one.
Okay, then we'll hold the underlying bill.
Okay, well, bill number 84 will be held, and we'll revisit this next week. I know everyone's been hard at work to find consensus on these appropriation bills, and I think we're pretty close.
Bill number 86, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to perfect bill number 86.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 86 is perfected.
Bill number 87, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to perfect bill number 87.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 87 is perfected.
Bill number 88, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to perfect bill number 88.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 88 is perfected.
Bill number 89, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to perfect bill number 89.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 89 is perfected.
Bill number 90, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to perfect bill number 90.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 90 is perfected.
Bill number 91, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to perfect bill number 91.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 91 is perfected.
Bill number 92, introduced by Councilmember Harder.
Move to perfect bill number 92.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 92 is perfected.
Bill number 93, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to perfect bill number 93.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 93 is perfected.
Bill number 94, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to perfect bill number 94.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 94 is perfected.
Bill number 95, introduced by Councilmember Harder.
Please move to perfect bill number 95.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 95 is perfected.
Bill number 96, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to perfect bill number 96.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 96 is perfected.
Bill number 97, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to perfect bill number 97.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 97 is perfected.
Bill number 98, introduced by Councilmembers Page and Tracus.
Move to perfect bill number 98.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Bill number 98 is perfected. Final passage.
Bill number 70, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move to hold bill number 70, and 70 will be held.
Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 73, introduced by Councilmember Erby.
I am going to move this bill forward tonight. I'm voting for passage of this bill this evening because it would give certainty to the future possibility of a healthy hospitality industry. That industry employs approximately 80,000 people in the St. Louis region. I would argue that half of them are African Americans. In addition, I think the opportunity to build a tourist-related recreation facility in North County is also equally important. Since the actual specific CVC project funding will have to be reviewed and approved by the council, that would be the appropriate time to create the funding mechanism for a North County project. I've held this bill several weeks and took into consideration the concerns that my fellow council members have. I agree with them on some instances. However, no one has shown me yet where we can use this money for general revenue. This money is to be used for recreation and tourism. And with that, I'm going to move it forward. I move to, for final passage of substitute bill number 1 for bill number 73.
Oh, second.
Roll call.
Before you
Councilmember
vote,
Erby.
Mr. Chairman, if I may have a moment.
Yes.
Can you smell it? Can you? Because I can smell it from up here and it stinks. This is an abomination. $250 million of St. Louis tax money to fund a project. What project? We don't know anything about what your plans are. The simple fact of the matter is, this proposal, this bill follows the game plan that's been in place for 30-plus years. A total dearth of any kind of accurate information regarding what your plans are. A history of less than full disclosure. A state senator by the name of McCarthy, not 30 years ago, flat out stated a little flim-flam now and again is necessary to get the job done. Well, I guess it's gone from a little flim-flam to a lot. If you think I'm upset, you have no idea. First off, the legal premise that somehow the money has to be used for tourism is on thin ice at best. At best. The idea that we're going to give you $6 million so you can collect another 12, 13, 15, 20 on top of that, and the county doesn't get a nickel for it? Sorry, I can't abide that. Too many misrepresentations have taken place over 30 years. 1, the dome will pay for itself. Wrong answer. 2, it'll revitalize downtown. Really? Look at downtown compared to 30 years ago. What a joke. Provide millions of dollars in tax revenue to local governments. Hardly. All it does is cost us money. We have employees we can't give raises to and roads you can't drive on. And we're going to give you $6 million a year with no return to the county? Shame on this body. Shame on it. And shame on my Democratic colleagues if they pass this vote tonight. There's no rush here. We need to have a long, hard look and conversation with Explore St. Louis as to exactly what their plans are and where this money's going to go and whether or not the county could craft a means to get at least a portion of the surplus tax back so we can spend it on roads, employees, and other needs. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I strongly urge my colleagues to vote no tonight.
You have comments?
I have a comment. I spoke with Councilman TRAKAS earlier, and we talked about working together to come up with some language so that we can assure that the county would have use of or have access to some funds later, and that the money could go to general revenue. We talked about that, and I committed to working with him on that. At that time, I was told to go ahead and if I needed to. I've checked with everyone that I needed to. And I'm a little bit disappointed, and I'm going to say this. I build relationships and I like to keep those relationships. I work hard. When you came down and slammed this note in front of me, I felt that it was bullying.
Really?
I did.
Well, that's how I felt when you came
I
up
did.
before this meeting started and told me you were gonna move the bill after you told me you were gonna hold it. The simple fact of the matter is, wait a minute, nobody,
I told you if I moved it, I would tell you that. I told
nobody
you-
on
I
my
came
side
down
of the
and
aisle
told
has
you I was
reached
gonna
over
move it.
and worked with Democrats
Can we
more
just
than
go
me.
on with the vote? Would that be good? Because there's no getting along with, I've been told this evening by Mr. Harder's office that they don't like the 35% in there for North County.
I
You're
didn't say
getting
that,
6
Mr.
million.
Rizzo. I didn't say
You're
that.
getting 6 million for a powerplex. Why don't we look after the area that I represent?
That's fine.
Why don't we?
Okay.
Can I add one thing?
I will not be bullied.
Councilwoman Irby, I really commend you for bringing this as far as you've taken it. I see a lot of things that made this better thanks to your work, that have made this stronger for the people of St. Louis County, particularly in North County. And we clarified some of the issues around minority women and business enterprises. The money that will be traced back to St. Louis County will ensure our standards around that, which I see as a really important win. It also clarifies county workers in this project. And what you were able to make happen, or what we will be able to make happen for North County because of this, I think is really important, so thank you.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Fitch?
Before I vote, I will tell you that I had no problem with the $6 million when we talked about it. And then last week, we added, if you do the math, if it's $1.3 million a year for 40 years, that comes out to $52 million to add the North County Recreational Entertainment Complex. And again, I have no problem with having a North County Recreational Entertainment Complex. I just don't think it should come from these funds. And I don't know what the hurry is to have that included in this bill. Certainly would have been interested in hearing about that outside of this discussion. So my feeling is if we've got all this extra money coming in from this tax, instead of finding other things to spend it on, why don't we reduce the tax? That's a novel idea. And let the people keep some of their money instead of having to find reasons to spend it. So I would be interested in hearing a conversation about a North County Recreational Entertainment Complex unrelated to this bill. So my vote will be no.
Can I say something? Do you realize that the 35% going to North County leaves 65% for the rest of the county?
Well, again, I would be willing to have that conversation if we could ever have it before we vote on this that we just got with 2 hours before the meeting last week.
No. Oh, you didn't have, a week didn't give you time to look at it?
We had no discussion about it at all. That's all I'm asking for, was to have a discussion about it.
Did you read it?
And there's too many questions there.
You didn't ask me any.
Well, it
That's
needs to be a
interesting.
public discussion, not you and
We
me.
had a public discussion.
Not about that project, we haven't.
Did we have a public discussion about the powerplex?
Yes, we did. 3, 4 of them.
4?
Yes, we had committee meetings, we had a committee of economic development, had a PowerPoint presentation. The file is that thick, I can give it to you.
I have a question. What's your interest in the powerplex?
I have no interest in the Powerplex.
Go ahead, Sam.
Your vote,
No.
Councilman.
Councilmember Gray?
I really don't like to see this kind of discussion on the dais. So I wish that we would have hashed this out prior to the meeting, to the council meeting. But I had some reservations being fairly new when I heard from Mr. Sullivan and I heard from Mr. Pruitt. They gave me some reservations, but I think we've addressed pretty much what they brought to my attention. Because I was not going to vote for the bill at first. But I think, like Lisa said, working with the councilwoman and other people, we've gotten a great compromise. I appreciate getting, I can't help but of course appreciate getting the funds for North County. South County got funds when River City was built or implemented. So there's always money gonna go to certain areas, just depends. And I appreciate, like I said, that we were able to, I thought, to work on a good sub bill, so I will vote yes.
Councilmember Clancy?
Yes.
Councilmember Tracus?
No.
Councilmember Harder?
Well, I'm going to set the record straight here real quick. First off, I was for this bill last week until we got the sub. I was surprised by the adding of the additional entertainment center or whatever it is going to be. I hope we could do something up there. I just hope we could have done that on a separate bill instead of loading it on this bill. And then looking at the numbers, we're committing or earmarking about 1 million-ish a year in this reserve to something that we don't have a plan for, we don't have land for, we don't know what the project looks like, we don't know where it's going to be, we don't know what the actual purpose is going to be. None of those questions have been asked or answered, and I wish we could have had that discussion. So that's why I'm going to vote no on this.
Mr. Chair, on substitute bill number 1 for bill number 73, there are 4 ayes and 3 noes.
Substitute bill number 1 for bill number 73 is adopted. Final passage. Thank you.
Bill number 78, introduced by Councilmember Harder. Mr. Chair, we have a substitute bill.
Please read.
Substitute bill number 1 for bill number 78, introduced by Councilmember Harder, an ordinance amending ordinance number 27,088 by repealing and reenacting section 1 pertaining to a contract with Lane Co. Construction Services LLC for interior modifications of a county-owned building at Spirit of St. Louis Airport.
I move for adoption of substitute bill 1 for bill number 78.
Second.
All in favor of adoption of substitute bill number 1 for bill number 78, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Substitute bill number 1 for bill number 78 is adopted.
Do we go final?
You can, if you get 7 votes.
I'll wait till next week then.
Okay.
Bill number 80, introduced by Councilmember Erby.
Substitute bill number 1 for bill number 78 will be held on final passage.
Bill number 80, introduced by Councilmember Erby.
I move for final passage of bill number 80. Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Fitch?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Clancy?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on bill number 80, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 80 is finally passed.
Bill number 81, introduced by Councilmember Page.
Move for final passage of bill number 81.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Fitch?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Clancy?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on bill number 81, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 81 is finally passed.
Bill number 85, introduced by Councilmember Tracus.
Move for final passage of bill number 85.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Erby?
Aye.
Councilmember Page?
Aye.
Councilmember Fitch?
Aye.
Councilmember Gray?
Aye.
Councilmember Clancy?
Aye.
Councilmember Tracus?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, on bill number 85, there are 7 ayes.
Bill number 85 is finally passed.
We have no resolutions this evening, Mr. Chair, so I'll move on to unfinished business. Under unfinished business, item number 1, 3rd District.
Please hold.
Item number 1 will be held.
Item number 2, 3rd District.
Please hold on the order of business.
So ordered.
Item number 3, 3rd District.
Please hold.
So ordered.
Item number 4, 1st District.
Receive following the addition, a Sunday liquor license be approved as requested. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And under new business this evening, Mr. Chair, we have 3 prepared orders.
I move for adoption of order number 1 and 2.
Second. All in favor of adoption of order 1 and 2?
Aye.
Opposed? Orders number 1 and 2 are adopted.
Order number 3, I move for adoption of order number 3. Order number 3 is changing the meeting for next Tuesday, April 23rd. Or is it April 16th? April 16th? Oh, it's 23rd, okay. April 23rd at 11 o'clock as opposed to 6:30.
Second. All in favor of adoption of order number 3? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Order number 3 is adopted. Any comments?
I have a comment.
Yes.
Someone questioned about yesterday me saying that I was going to hold the bill for the convention center. That I wasn't sure if I was going to move it forward. I did say that. And I didn't say that to deceive anyone. It was because I was waiting to hear from a council member as to how we could work together. And after I found out that we were talking about holding it not 1 week, but maybe 2 or 3, then I decided to move it forward because I felt that everybody had time to deal with it. So that's why I said yesterday that I wasn't sure if I was going to move it tonight.
Well, I recognize some concerns about some of the issues surrounding the CBC and the hotel motel tax, and I'm confident we'll revisit that issue in a bill with another opportunity to look at how that tax is put together and discuss what's the best use for those funds moving forward.
You've lost all your bargaining position, Mr. Chairman. Good luck with that.
Any other comments?
I'm not sure.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
These comments, isn't it?